Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Did you know you can support the channel by joining? Something to think about. Now onto the stories. Case file number 947, written by, customized by love, Sammie, the Mistress of Electricity. Hi, my name's Samantha. People just call me Sammie, even when I was a little lassie in high school. I'm 25 now. Just to describe myself a little bit, I've always been a curious little girl, the type who's always eager to explore the fine points about systems and learn every detail there is to know about it. In high school, I was a class know-it-all, but I was cute enough to get away with it without being hated. Everyone thought I'd become a lawyer. The glitch happened to me when I was walking home from the library last week. I was fairly deep in my own thoughts, thinking about the birthday cake I was baking for my best friend, Chocolate, and my poor attempt at online dating, which is not going well for me. I'll spare you all the details on that. In this deep thought, I hardly noticed that the streetlights were flickering on and off in sync with my own thoughts. It became more evident as I stopped walking and concentrated on looking at the streetlights. They stopped flickering, mostly, still a little bit. Then I'd start to walk again and jump back into my own mind. Then they'd start to flicker again more strongly. It was somewhat subtle, probably because there was still light out. In my little town in Ontario, the streetlights always come on at least an hour before it's dark. I don't know why. A tinge of excitement rushed through me, alongside the feelings of confusion. I paused and sat down, legs crossed on the cold pavement. I thought, well, that's exactly the point. If I had any notable thoughts in my head, I'd see those lights flicker every time. I had to be nearly in complete Zen meditation for them to stop. My mind was controlling my body in a way to affect the lights? Electronics? Was I turning into a female Magneto? It all stopped after a few minutes. I can't do this anymore since last week, and I'm wondering if I imagined myself doing it. I've always wanted superpowers growing up, so maybe my mind was giving me an illusion of control? I've since Googled this, and there are some people who mention this happening to them, but most people seem to think it involves spiritual mumbo-jumbo, which I don't really believe in. Maybe I'm wrong. Case notes for file 947. Sammie, the Mistress of Electricity. Yeah, this is a real phenomenon. There was another story of a man that was able to control his TV simply by touching the remote that was tethered to it. He didn't actually touch any buttons on the remote. It was like a conduit. He wasn't able to directly change the channel or anything like that. Like, his mind didn't have direct control. It was indirect, accidental. Like you. Lights flickering just as you're thinking. I don't think you'll become Magneto, but it's very interesting. There are a select few, very rare people who are able to control electronics or influence electronics with their own EM spectrum field, which we all do emit at some level. Still, we should be on the lookout for X-Men. Who knows what we'll evolve into? Case file number 948, written by advertisethisbutt, the Genius Ghost. I've been a fan of puzzles for as long as I can remember, and one of my favorite challenges has always been the Rubik's Cube, even as a kid growing up. I've been trying to solve it for years, but no matter how much time I put into it, it never clicked. I even tried looking up guides and tutorials online, but eventually decided against using them. It felt like cheating. I'm 25 now and back home from work. This is on January 9th. I was done with this. I told my own brain to buck up for a night of hardcore solving. I picked it up and started to twist and turn the sides. Most I ever got was 2 layers completed. But it was just like every other time. I couldn't seem to get the hang of the last layer. But this time, I wasn't going to give up, no matter how frustrated I became. After a few hours of not entirely understanding the mechanism, but having an intuitive feeling of how the pieces would move and end up where I wanted them to, I was back to 2 layers solved. But the last top layer always got me. The geometry in my mind, it's hard to place, and if I rotated it slowly without marking down the pattern I took, I'd end up lost and have to restart from scratch. So frustrating. I thought now was a good time to take a break, to decompress. Go pee, shower, get a snack, cola, then come back stronger than ever. So I did all of that and returned to a Rubik's Cube that was 100% solved. There are no chances involved here. Imagine you pour out a puzzle piece set on the table, solve 60% of it, take a break, come back, and is there a full picture assembled? This is even more crazy and unreal. I swear to God I never solved this. There's no one else in my apartment unless I have genius ghosts around. It's not as if I suddenly have the ability to solve it either. Nope, not even close. I feel dumber if anything. Probably just tired. Case notes for file 948. The Genius Ghost. Alright, so it finally happened. Now I can get out my Rubik's Cube and solve it on camera because a glitch mentioned it. Let's do it. Alright. I am a bit rusty. Et voila. All solved. Okay, that was fun. To be fair though, I did cheat myself when I learned how to do this. I looked up guides online how to do it. I didn't try to solve it just on my own. That would have taken forever. Respect to them trying to do it on their own entirely. Now in all seriousness, I do think it's most likely some multiversal transfer going on here. You probably did solve it, really just you. Maybe you used the guide, maybe not, in a different universe, and it just ported over here. In that one, you're stuck with a unsolved version, although if you're able to solve it, I guess that's not a big deal. Unless you just got really lucky, in which case, that sucks. Or maybe indeed you do have some kind of ghost that's just hanging around that was taking pity on the fact that you were trying for hundreds or thousands of hours to solve this and you couldn't. It's like, okay, I'm gonna handle this. Relax. I gotcha. Case file number 949, written by Dismissed 91. The Day That Fully Repeats. I've always felt like something was off about my life. It's been difficult to put a finger on it, and without wanting to become a living bromide, the best I can describe it is feeling like Neo in the Matrix. You know that dredge we all face? Well, most of us, besides the lucky few who love their job. I'll wake up for the slog at 6 a.m., get terrible home-brewed coffee. My own fault, I know. I need to get a coffee grinder and fresh whole beans, then make my way to my job in downtown Philly. I work in a gray little office building that doesn't accomplish much in the world. My job, the official title, is staff accountant. Official duties include completing monthly journal entries and logs, account reconciliations, and closing out of general ledger accounts for monthly financial statements and year-end audit packets for multiple entities. Sounds complicated, but it's unbelievably boring. But I feel stuck here. Again, I know it's all my own damn fault. I keep a diary to write in, journal my days. They're all the same, virtually identical. Pick a random weekday of the year and the events of that day would almost certainly be in the same order as the prior day, even most of the conversations I have with my coworkers. I feel like I'm stuck in a time loop of my own creation, metaphorically speaking. Until this past week, where it's no longer an allegory to describe a dreadful existence. My life reminds me of that Friends episode where Phoebe is talking to the depressed George. I don't remember if that was his name in the episode, but it's the actor who plays George in Seinfeld. Well, I was at work, reliving the same thing as usual. The only positive note I can add to this is work isn't stressful. But anyways, so I work, go home, sleep, wake up, and come back. And the prior day repeats. Exactly. No, but I mean exactly. The same data reports, the same exact calculations and results, the same boring water cooler banter from John and Jane, not their actual names. Wish I could explain what I experienced. My day-to-day life is so similar, I almost discounted this away entirely, but no, that would be incorrect. Yes, the sameness of each day is unpleasant, but it doesn't approach a perfect one-to-one recreation. Yesterday was Tuesday, and today is Wednesday, so time appears to be flowing just fine, at least as my memory is recalling it. And for those worried, I'm not on the verge of shutting down the game. No, my life sucks now, but I'm taking steps to improve it. I'm seeing a therapist, which is helping a lot. I always discounted it as hippie nonsense, but that's not the case. Case notes for file 949, the day that repeats. Now, there are medical, mental, psychological conditions that can cause you to disconnect from reality in a certain sense, to confuse cause and effect. Your sense of time might be persistent, yet your mind will switch events out or recopy them over. That is a possibility we have to keep on the table. Now, do I think that's an entire explanation for a full day repeating in every possible facet of it? An exact one-for-one replica, as you say? Probably not. There have been cases of people who are sort of dream a future into existence, or the information of that buffered reality, the future, is downloaded into them. Maybe you misremember which day it was, and you were simply dreaming or having a future foresight event where you live that day. Sort of like Nicolas Cage in Next, I love that movie so much, where he just sees what's going to happen and spoilers, if you haven't seen it by this point, come on. At the end, it's shown to be multiple days seen ahead of time. I wonder if you could have influenced it. You probably could have. If you changed what you said or did, it would have affected how the day would have proceeded. You just stuck to your emotions. You probably only realized something was wrong after the day was over. Would be my guess, just because of how samey it is for every day. And props to you for going to a therapist. I mean, that's one way to take your life back. Very small steps initially. But if you're there to pursue serious help, you'll get what you put into it. I hope it helps you. And with that, the video is done. Like it, subscribe. I mean, I solved a Rubik's Cube. You gotta give a like for that, right?